So are we set with it? Are we set? Can we start? Can we start? Okay. Is it a very good evening to one and all present here? So let me start with today's lecture. I know very few of you will be knowing English, right? So you will be listening to Estella, I feel, right? So you have your mics with you. I don't know. Yeah. So they are listening to what Estella, what I'm saying to them. I hope it is okay. It's okay. What about other? Fine. Can we start? Yeah. Okay. So today's topic is post-pandemic world economy, right? So let me understand if any one of you can talk about what do you think, like you all know that we have passed through such a bad state, the pandemic state, right? So what is your opinion? What is the impact of that pandemic on the world economy? What do you think has happened? I'll also be discussing. So this is today's topic that we will be discussing, but I need your answers as well. What do you think about this post pandemic world economy? So what is your opinion? Yes. Very true. Very good. Very good. I really appreciate what this boy has said. This is really appreciable. Anybody else who can talk about this? I know that inflation is one of the most important thing that is hitting the economy right now. I hope you all agree with me. You all agree with me? The global economy is entering a pronounced slowdown amid fresh threats from COVID-19 variants and a rise in inflation, debt, and income inequality that could endanger the recovery in the emerging and developing economies. So, what exactly it is like? So, we have to concentrate on these three important parts. So, these are the things, the most important things that is there is a rise in inflation, there is a debt, more and more debt in the economy, and there is income inequality, right? So that is the most important aspect that we all are suffering after the post-pandemic, right? The world economy, the whole world economy is suffering from these three things, that is a rise in inflation, debt, more and more debt, and income inequality, right? So these are the things. So let's talk about how it is impacting the GDP of the economy, right? How it is impacting the GDP in the economy. Is it okay? Having some problems? Is it working? Is it working? Okay, okay. Okay. Hi. Hello. Okay. Is that okay now? Is that okay? I can start. Okay. With regards to the GDP, what is the impact, right? Just understand this thing. This report is according to the World Bank's latest global economic prospect report. So what does it say? Global growth. You know that GDP is to be measured everywhere, right? So global growth is expected to de-accelerate marginally from 5.5% in 2021 to 4.1% in 2022. And in 2023, as pent-up demand dissipates and as fiscal and monetary support is unwound across the world. So basically, the global growth is going to go down, right? So because of the pandemic, the world has suffered a lot. Now there is a comparison. Let's do a comparison between the advanced economies and emerging and developed economies. I hope you understand the difference between the two. The advanced economies and the emerging and developing economies, right? The slowdown will coincide with the widening divergence in growth rates between advanced economy and emerging and developing countries. So we know that, like, there is a huge difference between the advanced economies and emerging and developing economies. So definitely the advanced economies is going to get out of this recession, all these things very fast than that of the developed and the emerging economies. So let's see what is the statistics for that, right? What is the statistics for that? Statistics, inflation is running at the highest rate in the advanced economies. I'm talking about the advanced economies. Inflation is running at the highest since 2008. And growth in advanced economies is expected to decline from 5% in 2021 to 3.8% in 2022 and 2.3% in 23. A pace that, while moderating, will be sufficient to restore output and investment to their pre-pandemic trends in these economy. Basically, what will happen is it is also expected that by 2023, all advanced economies will have achieved a full output recovery. So this is what is expected, and this statistics and this report is by the this thing uh, world economy. This report is by the World Bank latest global economic prospect report. So the statistics that I'm showing it to you right now, the difference between the advanced economies and emerging and developing economies. So this report is by the World Bank. The statistics that I'm showing here on the screen right now is the report by the World Bank, right? And it is expected that next year, the advanced economies will be able to recover out of this pandemic, right? So the losses they have booked, that will be recovered in the year 2023. But you know that um, it will not be there in the emerging and developing economies. So what is the statistics according to the World Bank report again? The emerging and developing economies, however, growth is expected to drop from 6.3% in 2021 to 4.6% in 2022 and 4.4% in 2023. The output in emerging and developing economies will remain 4% below its pre-pandemic trend. So it's going to be very tough for these countries to fight from all these three major problems. What are the three major problems that we talked about in the beginning that these world economies is going to face? First is the inflation, second is the debt recovery, and third is the inequalities. Inequalities. So we'll be talking about these three again, right? So let's understand the impact on emerging and developed economies. I hope it is clear to everyone. Are you getting it? Are you getting it? So that's great, right? Okay. Okay. So because of the language conversion, so I need to go a little slow. Is that okay now? Okay. So rising inflation, which hits low income workers particularly hard, is constraining monetary policy. In emerging markets and developing economies, it has reached its highest rate since 2011. Many emerging and developing economies are withdrawing policy support to contain inflationary pressures well before the recovery is complete. There is another type of economy as well, and those economies are called as the vulnerable economies. There is another set of economies, like there is a developed economies, there is a emerging economies, but there is another set of economies that comes into the low income group. There is another set of economies that comes into the low income group, and that is called as vulnerable economy, and they are the worst hit right now. Those economies are the worst hit. So the setback is even larger for these vulnerable economies. Output of fragile and conflict affected economies will be 7.5% below its pre-pandemic trend, and output of small island states will be 8.5% below. So this is what the state is. Now let's talk about the three important elements that we talked earlier as well. That is the debt recovery, rise in inflation, and income inequality. So this, because of the, after the pandemic, these three things has risen. These three things have impacted the world economy. This is the most important thing that happened uh, during the pandemic. So the pandemic has caused these three important things, that is the rise in the debt, rise in inflation, and income inequality. So let's talk one by one for each one of them, right? So let's talk that there is a rise in the debt. Uh, COVID-19 has pushed total global debt to its highest level in half a century, even as the creditors' landscape became increasingly complex. It finds that future coordinated debt relief initiative will face higher hurdles to success. Basically, there is a rise in the debt in the whole of the economy, right? So because the people, they don't have the money. Even let me give you an example for this. Uh, One of my colleague, this is a real example I'm talking about. The people, they were unemployed, right? They do not have the payments to pay for their food. They do not have the payments to live in a house. Like if they are on a rented house, they are not able to make payments, right? So there is a rise in debt even for a smaller or the basic necessity of life, right? So there is a rise in debt. So that is recovering. I do understand that is recovering, and the people are becoming unemployed because many firms, they were closing down. So this is what all happened during the pandemic. So one example that I was trying to give you, one of my colleague, I'm from India. So one of my colleague in the university, he told me he is a service class person and his wife is also a service class. So he said, if we will stay back because of coronavirus inside the house, will die. If we stay back inside the house because of coronavirus and because of the pandemic, will die. But if we go out, we again has the possibility that will die. This is a real story that I'm talking about. So, you know, there was so much of unemployment, there was so much of uneasiness among the people, right? And this has led to a rising debt in the economy, right? So there is a rise in the debt. Second most important thing is rising in inflation. Anybody can give me an example? This boy that has already said very good examples. Can anybody else also give me an example for rise in anybody in the class? I think Estella will be writing some answers if the students are interested in giving the answers for this. Is any student interested in giving any example onto this? There is a rise in inflation. Yes. Yes, you want to say something? You speak English? Yeah, very right, very right. Very good. Let me give you a live example of mine. So, rising inflation. So, I am from India. You all know that? You all know that? I am from India. India, right? I don't know how to say this in like your language. India? Okay, India. Fine. So, I went to US in the year 2018, USA, New York, and I paid for my ticket around 80,000 rupees, my currency, right? 80,000 rupees, my currency. And after the pandemic, it's 2018, 18 I'm talking about. It's almost $1,000. It's almost $1,000. Are you able to understand what I'm talking about through Estella? Yes? So, okay. So what happened was now this time I'm coming. So it's almost the same distance. You understand that? Like this is South America. This, this area of yours is South America and that is North America. So distance from my hometown, from India to this place and to New York is almost the same. So the ticket that costed me was around 1.5 times higher. It was like double, almost double the price. In 2018, it was around 80,000, 70,000. Okay. So it was around 70,000, right? Because the dollar value was that. Now, this year, it is double just after the pandemic. Can you see to this? There is a rise in the inflation. Because of the inflation, these airlines, they have to take out their charges as well. They were like, these airlines were going, their situation is going worst. So that's why. So this is an example of rise in inflation. Even the food charges, if you go out to dine out, so you have to pay a little more than you were paying earlier. So this is the impact of the inflation due to pandemic. And of course, he also says that right after the Russia war, the Russia and Ukraine war, the prices has also inflated, right? So, so that is also there. So there is a rise in inflation, right? There is a rise in. So I don't think we don't need to read this. Okay, this is interesting. There is an income inequality. And I hope you understand this term that is called as income inequality. Who will explain this term in the class to me? What is income inequality? What do you mean by that? Very good. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Good. Very good. Great. Uh, this is the income inequality is basically the wage difference between the two persons, the difference in the wages that they are getting, right? So, according to the world report, the economies of the world, the economies of the world is also divided into different segments, right? So there are high income group economies, middle, lower, and the vulnerable, right? So these are the different economies, types of economies. And, by the World Bank report, and income inequality is like, let me give you a statistics of Indian people. I was reading one report. So, what is the income difference between the different sections of Indian people? Like there is 15% of the population who is having high income group. 15% of the population. I'm talking about the Indian statistics. The 15% of the population, they are having high income, right? 35% of the population is middle income group, and the 50% of the population lives beyond low income, that lies in the low income group. So can you see the income inequality in India? This may be, this may persist in even in the countries, other developing countries as well. But because I have read this status, so I'm sharing this with all of you. Let me, I hope you understand what I'm saying. Yes, everybody? Everybody at the back? Yes? You understand?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's great. It's very important to interact with the students. I would love to do that, but because of the language barrier, I know it is a little problem that I'm facing right now. And this is my first experience to talk to different language people, right? This is my first experience. I did went to New York, but I never had a language barrier because I know English and their people also know English, and it's very easy for me to communicate, right? So but here this is the first time I'm standing in front of you and I'm not able to communicate. This is a very different experience altogether for me. I hope you understand, right? You also must be feeling like different, right? It's okay. uh, this is both parts. Oh, okay, okay. What? Yes, Stella has to communicate with her because she's not, she has to tell the whole class what he's saying. Oh, okay. So moving ahead, um, just read these lines. It has also increased inequality in other spheres of human activity, in the availability of the vacancies. So these points are important. What are the important points? Income inequality, post-pandemic. What are the things? The availability of the vacancies, economic growth, in access to education and healthcare, in the scale of job and income losses, which have been higher for women and low skill and informal workers. So these are the main sectors. These are the main sectors which is impacted more due to the pandemic, right? So these are the sectors that is impacted more after the pandemic. So what are those? Let me repeat it. So there are availability of the vacancies, right? In economic growth, in terms of economic growth, in access to education and healthcare. These are the sectors which is impacted more due to the pandemic, right? And these are the sectors that is still struggling because of pandemic, right? So in the scale of job and income losses, which have been higher for women and low skilled and informal workers. So these are the sectors that has been impacted more due to the pandemic, right? And this has caused the income inequality. Uh, so there is an example that has been mentioned on my slide. So what is the example? So it talks about losses to human capital caused by disruption in education can spill over across generation. Let me tell you one thing. Because of pandemic, right? So we were teaching the students online, and when the students are being taught online, they hardly listen to the teachers, and there is a maximum loss to the students in the classes. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? Others also? Let me repeat my question once again. I'm saying, when a teacher is teaching online to the students, right? Please concentrate on to the students. This is a question to all of you. My question is, when a teacher is teaching online, the students hardly put any attention to what teacher is saying. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? All of you? Do you agree with me? I want everybody to answer like this. Do you agree with me? I want all hands to be raised. Oh, yeah. That's good, great, right? So, education is one sector that is also very much impacted due to this pandemic, right? And let me give you a live example onto this. Okay, let me give you live example. My cousin in India is having a son who is in class 7, and he used to be the topper of his class, and he used to get scholarship, right, till 7. So during the pandemic, when things were online, he doesn't used to study, and and he was behind the class now. Like, he was the topper earlier, and now he's not getting good grades. So the students have become, the education has become, the students actually have become less, they don't study, right? Because of this online education, right? So like there is a inequality. So these are the, okay. So, okay, there is another positive impact. Anybody in the class can tell me what is the positive impact of the pandemic? Any example? Let me repeat my question. What is the positive impact of the pandemic to the world economy? Yes, I want the answer from the back this time. Huh? Is it okay? Are you people able to listen to me? Are you able to listen to Stella? Is it doing good? Okay. So my question is, okay, I'll get back to you. Just a minute. I want the people, the students at the back to answer this question. What do you think is the positive impact of pandemic? The one who is smiling will answer me, right? This is good. She speaks English. Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah. Huh? Okay. Not able to understand. What is he saying? Oh, yeah. That was a very plus point. Very true. Very true. Like the people, they are more into contact with their families. So that is one plus point. Very good. Very good. What else? Yes, you were saying something now. Yeah. Yeah, very good, very good. Anybody else in the class who would like to answer this question? You can speak in your language and Estella will convert it for us.
I think the hygiene. The, I I think the hygiene is much better because people nowadays they feel a little bit sick. They put on a mask. They constantly put alcohol on their hands and they avoid going to crowded places. I think that's a good aspect of the pandemic to avoid other other diseases, other possible pandemic diseases like the monkeypox, and people are more immersed in the fact that taking care of yourself is also taking care of
Yeah, that is
others.
a very good point. I'm very appreciable. Very good. Yeah. So that is another point he's talking about. Like we know now how to take care of ourselves, right? Estella can hear me. Okay, students, can we come back with me? Yeah, fine. So, okay, so we have a few presentation left now. So let's start with, okay, we were talking about the positive impact of pandemic, right? So there is another positive impact that I want to talk about is uh, the digital payments and use of the digitization in our uh, day-to-day life. Let me give an example. Let me give an example onto this. Like before pandemic, I used to carry cash with me, right? I used to carry currency with me. But after the pandemic, what happens is I'm very happy to see an app on my mobile phone that is called as a Paytm, which is connected directly with that of a bank account. And whatever payment I have to make, I make it from that. So I don't need to keep a cash, right? So that is one example. Today, let me give another example of morning itself. So I was coming with Anna. She must be your teacher. I don't know. So I was coming with one of the professors at UNIS. So she went to the gas station to fill the gas. So what she did was she did not make the payment and she is connected with that of a shell company. You all must be knowing that in Worgenis. So you have an account with that of a shell company, right? And okay. So you all have an account with the shell company, the people who live here especially. So what they do is like they just do the debit and credit onto that. So that's so easy. So this has been done especially after the pandemic, right? You know, Zomato, you know these apps, Zomato food apps and all that. Do you know that? Yes, yes or no? I want everybody to be with me. Yeah. Zomato, like delivering the foods at your homes. Acha, okay. So you have which apps? Uber Eats. Okay. Okay. So with these applications, you made the payment online, right? So this is what is the advantage of the pandemic. So this is right. So this is what this is like a common man and started using more and more digitization. He is moving more and more towards the digital life, digital payments and all that, right? So do you think it is good? Yes? I want all to respond. Do you think, how many of you think it is good to use, to be digital? Everybody? Oh, that's good. Great. Finally, you raised your hand. Okay. So, right. So this is the very positive impact. Yeah. You understand English. I know that you understand English. Oh. Okay. So anyways, so PPT को एक मिनट switch on करोगे? PPT कर दो बस. बस. Okay. एक मिनट. Full screen. You want to connect? He wants to connect. Okay. No, I don't need. I'll use this whenever I need. Okay. So, let's talk about the world economy, right? So, this is the world economy is divided into different parts. You know that? Like East Asia and Pacific, right? So it's Europe and Central Asia, Latin America and the Caribbean. So this is where you people are in Brazil. The Brazil lies in here. So just trying to tell you, this is how the world has been divided. Different categories of the whole world, right? So we have East Asia and Pacific. We have Europe and Central Asia, Latin America and Caribbean, and others also. So just have a look at this. Middle East and North Africa, South Asia. This is where I belong to. So please, South Asia. I think I should tell about me as well, right? So this is where I belong to. And the last is Sub-Saharan Africa. So let's understand. Huh? Okay. Okay, I forgot to use this. So, so what is the status? So this is with respect to the growth rates in each of the places. So they talked about the growth rates in each of the places. First is East Asian Pacific. Growth is projected to de-accelerate to 5.1% in 2022 before increasingly slightly to 5.2% in 2023. So this is the different growth rates of the different places of the world. Matlab, it shows how the world is going to revive after the pandemic, right? So the whole of the world is divided into different regions. And so this is what Europe and Central Asia, growth is forecast to slow 3% in 2022 and 2.9% in 2023. Latin America and Caribbean, growth is projected to slow to 2.6% in 2022 before increasing slightly to 2.7% in 2023. So this is the growth rate. In Middle East and North Africa, means every country is reviving, but at a slow pace. So what is the slow pace? So this is what is being described in these slides, right? We should know the statistics of this. In Middle East and North Africa, growth is forecast to accelerate to 4.4% in 2022 before slowing to 3.4% in 2023. And in South Asia, it is projected to accelerate to 7.6% in 2022 before slowing to 6% in 2023. And last, the growth is forecast to accelerate slightly to 3.6%. Basically, what exactly does this means is all the world economies is going to have a slow growth rate, and they need a time to revive from this pandemic, right? To come back to normal. So I can show you one or two pictures. If you can make out, I don't know, let's see. So this is a real GDP. This is, can you see the picture? Are you able to see this? Okay. So this is Okay, okay. Right? Now it's better. So this is a real GDP in 2019, 20, and 21. This is this figure is estimated, and this is forecasted for the next years. So this is the statistics again. So for the different countries, you can see again, this all has been taken from the World Bank report, right? So they have divided the economies into like advanced economies. You can see to that, right? So this is United States, Euro area, Japan. So this is the forecasted. 22 and 23 is the forecasted report. 21 is estimated, and this is the real 2019-20 is the real figures. Next is the estimated, and next is the forecasted. So you can see, and this is the post-pandemic impact on the economies. So basically what this all is showing is definitely, yes, would you like to see this? Everybody is able to see, understand these figures? Huh? Yeah, so yeah. This is in year Thailand. You know, let me tell you one thing. It depends, from country to country. Maybe something unprecedented happened. Like, in 2008 in the US. Do you people know about the financial crisis that hit US in the year 2008? All of you remember that? Right? So something wrong must have happened in Thailand. I don't know exactly what exactly happened, but maybe. So, different countries have their own things, right? So this is, okay, so this is about this GDP, and I have this for your country as well, for Latin America and Caribbean country forecast. So I have this for you as well. So these are the GDP at market price, right? So these are the different things. So basically, what all these things are talking about is we need time to revive from the pandemic, because it has taken the life. It was very difficult to stay inside, and people were losing jobs at that time. So economy is reviving. So let's see how much time will it take to actual revive. These all are the forecasted things, right? And let's see, let's hope. So everything should go good in the countries, and no other pandemic should hit the world economy. So we should all pray for that, because it's going to take, if something wrong happens, so it's going to take a toll on the life of the human beings. Now you know that, like, now the world is again moving to a third world war. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. So the world is moving towards world war. There is so much of situation, the China attacking other countries, trying to attack, right? So Russia, Ukraine war, and so it is disturbing the whole economy a lot, right? So we don't want that to happen. Huh? Monkeypox, yes, very true. So there is also the fear of monkeypox as well. So the only thing is to be safe. My only advice to all of you is to be safe and remain healthy. That's all from my side. And it takes time to revive the economies, I hope. Thank you very much. I hope you liked it. It was more interactive, but if you would have participated more with me, if we don't have the language barrier, so it would have been more better, because we would have interacted, the whole class would have interacted, and we could have a discussions on some important things, right? So nobody has to say, no, I don't understand. So it would have been like, I know that everybody will understand. So anyways, it's a good experience being with you also. This is my first experience to deliver a lecture outside my home country. I have been delivering lectures online as well for different colleges, but mostly in India. But this is my first physical offline lecture in outside India. And I'm very happy to see this. And I'm really happy to deliver a lecture. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Fine. So we'll see you. Yeah, I need the pictures. Yeah, I need the pictures with the students as well, right? So that I can show it to my.
Stella, vamos tentar te colocar na foto, viu? Mas qualquer coisa eu tenho um print aqui, viu? A gente registra depois. Então fica bonitinha aí, Stella. A professora... eu também acho que... Ah lá, a minha Stella lá, ó.
Mas aí a Estela não vai aparecer.
Como que põe na galeria ali?
Galeria?
É.
Como que coloca na galeria?
Vamos tirar duas, uma assim e depois a gente traz todo mundo para cá, tá bom? Vamos lá, gente, todo mundo fazendo. Qual que vocês... Qual é? Peraí, vamos... A primeira aqui, ó. Todo mundo aqui, ó. Agora vai da Dani lá. Agora todo mundo aqui pra gente tirar uma com a Estela. Vamos lá. Estela. Cadê a Estela? Agora, então fica aí, a gente vai... Agora tá pondo todo mundo junto aí pra sair com você. Pera aí. Acende a luz aí, Dani, acho que vai ficar melhor. Quer dizer, a Estela fica meio... Aí. Herbert, tira aqui, ó. Deixa eu sair também.
Peraí, gente. Isso é uma MacGyver aqui, peraí.
A Estela, não esquece ela não.
Ah, é? Esse ano você... Vou pro Insta agora, hein? Tá. Agora. É iPhone, gente, não tem como ficar ruim, não, hein? Aê.
Caralho, o celular não claro. Conectou. Obrigado, Estela. Tchau, tchau. Até mais.